Why it means 70, of course.
Reach your impossible.
So we're gonna watch this Warcraft panel new. We're gonna watch it.
Here we go.
Ooh woo. What's up, Xavier? Thank you for reminding me about this panel. Pokey, hello. How are you today? So there's a game they just showed on here that I cannot believe they put out there for people to play. That promotes domestic violence. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So we're going to be watching Evolving Azeroth, creating a living world, past, present, and future. Yeah, watch. You'll see it come up. It's in the ads right here. It's unbelievable. There's a game that they're going to show in the ad that promotes domestic violence. But it's anime, so it's cool. Yeah, it's the breakup game. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, dude, this is what gaming is coming to in the free speech. You'll see. So you don't want to be with her anymore. It's obvious, and she says she'll be together with you. She'll be with you forever. And she starts stabbing you. It's like no. That game should even get airtime. Like there's a point. There's a point when you don't promote a game, even though there's money in it. So, but we'll see if they show it. Right now, PAX is going through their stuff. You may not see it again. Up next, I'm ready, man. It's about 2 minutes. Wow. Eyewear for everyone. Zenny. PAX East, you can almost read that down there. PAX East. Oh, they're not going to. They're not going to show any more games. That's fine. They do, man. I'm telling you. What was it called? The breakup game, right? What is that called, though? It's a new anime Steam game, I think. It should get 0 playthroughs. Let's be honest. Hey, you subscribed. Thank you, Hunter. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. We're gonna watch some Azeroth stuff here. This is a brand new panel live in about 1 minute about the past, present, and future of Azeroth. It'd be great. And a ton of downvotes. Yeah. Fine. That's what people... Hey, man, if that's where people want to spend their time, that's probably the issue, right? Probably the problem. I would say... Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, my magic box was off. Can't have that. Ah. We're vibing right now. Yeah, we're vibing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Let me see if I can find it now. Yeah, it's an AI. It's called AI to you with you. It's an AI girlfriend simulator. Oh, fuck. No thanks, man. No thank you. I say no. All right. It's 2:01. Let's go. It's 4 p.m. Eastern. Let's make it happen. Hello. Nee, how are you? Man, just not going to happen, man. Like, be a good boy. I want to change your name. Manus, you donated $10. It's weird because usually I see that. I don't think that's true. It's Friday for those of us who work Monday through Friday. Yeah. My day's been good, man. Really good. Really chill. All right, here we go. All right, Jeremy Fiesel. Get up there and tell us what it's all about. Who's that guy? I don't even know who that is. Jeremy's there. That's the bullet dodger right there, Jeremy Fiesel.
Welcome to our panel on the evolution of Azeroth. I'm Randy Jordan, a community manager with the Warcraft team. I started playing World of Warcraft 20 years ago.
That's Randy?
And,
I talked to Randy quite a bit.
Years after that.
He's changed a
I
lot.
want you to meet my coworkers, starting with Paul.
You start with me. My name is Paul Cubitt. Nice to meet everybody. I am Associate Game Director on World of Warcraft, working on the Midnight expansion.
Oh, you guys need to work on your sound system, man.
Picture of me right behind me here.
There you go.
Yes. So, due to the fact I've been working on
Paul Cubitt. Wow, he's changed a lot.
in 2006. Hope you can all hear me. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. All right. Perfect.
Yeah, you just got to touch it. Just gotta look.
Yeah, been working on the game since roughly when we were working on Encourage. I started in game testing as a QA tester and worked my way onto Quest.
Jeremy Fiesel has been an associate game director for a long time.
Yeah, working on making cool stuff at Midnight. Yeah, nice to meet you.
I'll jump right in next. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody. My name is Jeremy Fiesel.
Yeah, I dodged a massive
For
bullet.
The 20 years that Paul has, I just celebrated my 15-year anniversary at World of Warcraft, and got my cool little blue ring. I had originally started as an encounter designer. One of the first things I made was the crazy boss fight Alyss Resort, which was modeled after a lot of fun SNES flying games. I have done many.
Everything's
fun
at
things
max.
since then. After
Everything's
that, I
at
went on to
max.
my favorite thing,
Pokey.
which was anything fuzzy and cute. I worked on battle pets
Hang
for
on.
a really long time. I worked on hunter pets. I worked on mounts.
That better?
Added a couple of secrets to the game, and nowadays I help head up the live services vertical on.
Now
WoW.
it's
We add
louder
all
than
the
I
stuff
am.
that's
I
in
gotta
the
talk
patches
loud
between the
now.
patches.
The patches between the patches. Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Great. Hi, I'm Maria Hamilton. I'm the Associate Design Director on WoW. I actually played early on in the beta, so I've played the whole time. I love the game. And I've only been with the team for a little over 5 years. I just got my sword, in fact. So they do arm us. at
No,
5
this is
years,
not BlizzCon. This is PAX
nice.
East.
We get mugs earlier on for the, well, anyway. I started off on the quest team.
I don't know why
and
this
I
isn't
made
doing what
a-
it's
a
doing. Let me
variety
see.
of
Hang on.
different quests, but one of my favorite things I made was Dead Blanchy, the mount. I had a lot of fun thinking through how that would play out and work and make sense. And I'm responsible for sort of the world, what we do in the world, the quests, the narrative, and sort of how everything plays out in our expansions.
We already know what the next expansion is. We know what the next two expansions are.
My name is Jesse Kurlanchik. I'm not an associate. I am not a director. I am one of the principal designers on WoW, and I lead up housing.
They're going to talk about housing.
I've only been on the WoW team for 3 years, but I played WoW longer than anybody up here, since the technical friends and family alpha.
Oh, wow.
I used to be very, very hardcore. Now I'm very dad, and so.
All right. So let's go back to the beginning. Thinking back on the beginnings of
Why
World
do
of
we
Warcraft
have
in
all of this here? There we
2004,
go.
How did the development team envision the living world of Azeroth growing and evolving?
Yeah, I could take this. So we've been thinking about Azeroth as a living world for since the beginning, and a living world can kind of mean a lot of different things. I think like first it means the world is changing, and that can be from like a minute to minute, hour to hour basis when you're looking at things that were in the very first version of the game, like rare mobs or treasure chests, variation in the space that it wasn't always predictable. Day to day, the mere existence of a day-night cycle sort of makes the world feel a little bit more alive when you log in Elwyn at nighttime, and it's darker than when you were in earlier that day. It feels alive. And then of course the game can vary from week to week, month to month, year to year, as we go through the seasons, and we have things like world events.
Bug Hot Wheels.
And
There's gonna
holidays,
there's gonna be a lot more going on
at the very
here.
beginning called the World Events team, which is just a group of 3 intrepid designers who were entirely in charge of building things like holidays. They built all the first Winter Veil and Hallow's End and things like that, moving out to Brewfest later on in Burning Crusade and so on. But also just populating the cities and the spaces and making it feel like the world was alive. So that's sort of like the first way that the world is a living world. Second is how it's sort of evolving and the story progresses over time. In that first, before we got to BC, I think we had 13 patches. It got to like 1.13. There was all sorts of things, just like the story advancing over time with the addition.
That's
of
a lot, huh?
Dungeons, new adventuring areas, new quest lines, raids, all getting added in over time. Sort of figuring out how we were going to progress the story, and of course that continued into later expansions as the story moved further and further. And last is just having players in the world and the gameplay changing. The mere existence of y'all, if you play World of Warcraft, makes the world, sort of vibrant and variant from, play session to play session and day to day.
I think even more again, you all have changed in the past 20 years. We used to be on Ventrilo and TeamSpeak. Now we're on Discord.
I don't know why they're doing this weird split thing.
Twitch wasn't a thing. YouTube was barely a thing. And so the way people play WoW has changed pretty drastically over the past 20 years as well.
You have all sorts of things that come along that are instigated by the players. So, for example, I like to think back on the Terran Mill versus South Shore battles that would take place over and over for months in some cases. And I always wonder, where was the development team's head at with that? Was that a surprise? Was it something that really gave the team a different look at how the game was going?
I like to say that this was intentional, and it very well might have been early on that someone decided that the positioning of Terran Mill and South Shore, these two Horde and then Alliance places, were perfectly positioned for world PvP to occur. But I got to imagine this was mostly Emergent, that players were sort of discovering that this was a fun place to fight in general, and they found other places in Stranglethorn Vale and elsewhere where you could just sort of have fun interactions with one another, and that sort of emergent gameplay are things that we play off of in later designs when we build versions of Terran Mill and South Shore to in Cataclysm and beyond to even further encourage things like that and to build future PvP. PvP is a space where we do a lot of ideation based on the way that we see people interacting and players interacting in the real world. Or not the real world, but the outdoor world. It feels like the real world sometimes.
My memory of the Encourage event for me and my guild was one of being on a boat in Menethil Harbor for the entire event. And I recognize now that gave the design team something to chew on and something to improve against.
So were you on a boat because you were trying to get there, or because you were trying to stay as far away from the ruckus as possible?
I actually wanted to be there. I wasn't very lucky.
Yeah. So the Encourage event was sort of the culmination of us, again, building and trying to build a living world, a space where it felt like, the players were working together, acting together, this enormous war event. For those of you who weren't there or aren't familiar, this was an event where huge groups of players were gathering wolf pelts, and the Alliance needed Peace Bloom, and the Horde needed this, and we would all gather materials together, and then groups would choose champions, and you'd go through a difficult series of quests before one person on every server could ring the gong to open up this raid for their server, and it was this sort of huge epic moment that's really defined a lot of the way that we've designed public events later, and really been instrumental in figuring out how we can build this living world. It didn't come without consequences, as Randy said. He was stuck on a boat because it was a lot of these events had brought so many players that it just brought the server to its knees. But I think we've learned lessons over then. I mean, we have since repeated this in WoW Cataclysm, in WoW Classic to greater success in terms of we were able to get more players in, and the servers were not brought to their knees quite, at least at the level that they were in the first iteration. And of course,
that's because you didn't have as many players.
Well, just better server engineering in general and lessons we've
No,
learned.
you didn't have as many
like
players,
to
man.
be able to make sure that when player populations do get to a point where there's so many people that you're not having a fun experience anymore, then we can split them up into two, and then everybody continues to have fun.
So at some point after the launch of Original WoW, the team starts working on the first expansion. Tell me from a design standpoint, what does that mean in terms of getting to do some things that maybe you didn't get to do originally, or build on some things that you learned about after the launch of Original WoW?
Yeah, so for, did I lose sound again? Test one.
There you go.
Okay. I'll sit forward like this, and then hopefully it won't happen again. Early on, when we're making BC, we sort of discovered that players were identifying in sort of different groups. The WoW player base is not monolithic. There are people who enjoy raiding. There are people who enjoy PvP. There are people who enjoy questing. Of course, there's people who enjoy everything, but that is not true of every single person, and some groups might prefer one thing over the other. For those who like questing, like myself included, Dad Mode Jesse now included as well, you could run out of quests in Classic. It was sort of, you could complete everything, and then if you wanted to do sort of solo gameplay at that point, well, you were sort of limited to professions, gathering is something you could do, but there wasn't a whole lot repeatable. So Enter Daily Quest is sort of our first stab at building a questing game to satisfy that sort of player mindset who wants to just do questing, but you will never run out of. And so we started with the Ogres of Ogrila. We had the Arakoa of Skedis as these areas. The Ethereals are also in Blade's Edge Mountains. And built daily quests for them so that you could come back day after day and continue to play questing. This was also done in a way that we wanted to make sure that the world felt alive. It wasn't static, that at least we would rotate through different quests on a daily basis so you wouldn't know quite what to expect. As you climbed the ranks, not only would you have new quests available to you from those Ogres of Ogrila, but also they might refer to you a little bit more reverentially as you became revered and exalted and so on. We also started learning lessons at this point on what it meant to build repeatable content like this. One of my favorite stories, I was working at, you heard me mention, I worked in QA at the time, dealing with bugs. And we started to deal with new types of bugs that had to do with people running the same quest multiple times in a row. In Blade's Edge Mountains, some of you oldies like us might remember there was a quest where it was a bombing run quest, but it was sort of different than ones you do now, where you had to bomb a couple Legion cannons and things like that, and piles of munitions in the areas of Blade's Edge Mountains. And the cannons would fire back at you. The bug we found was that those areas would get really laggy on Sunday and Monday, and the first week we weren't sure exactly why. And then it happened again the next Sunday and Monday, and the reason why is because anytime one of those things shot a bullet at you, it would summon a little invisible creature. We call it a bunny up in the sky, and they weren't despawning. And so after so many people ran this quest, day after day, the sky would get full of bunnies, and there'd be 100,000 bunnies in there, and again, servers brought to their knees. We fixed that, but this was sort of the types of lessons we were learning as we were building a living world and building this new type of content, which didn't exist in Classic. We didn't have that type of bug.
I got to be
Can
king
you
of the ogres.
update us
Thank you very
what's
much.
new?
I also
With what, Bebop?
Thank you. I also really, really enjoyed the Netherwing Ledge.
Can you be more specific?
Just having the boomerang and beating on peons, there was such a sense of reaching a goal, and that goal was a flying mount. And of course, flying was the big step at this point in WoW. The big step forward for gameplay was being able to get on your mount and fly. Did you fly, Jesse?
Absolutely. I was the first person on my server to fly.
You were the first
Because
flyer.
again, hardcore as a child.
Right
Oh
on.
yeah, they haven't got to it yet. This just
No, I think
started.
flying, as a player back then, was groundbreaking. There was not the norm that you could fly in an RPG, that you could fly over places that you had previously only seen from the ground.
It's a
don't
it's
envy
a
the
progressive
artists and world builders
conversation.
who had to go in and make it so that things had textures on their tops.
So we didn't used to build the tops of buildings until you could fly.
Or the content designers who had to now fill in space with the expectation that players are just going to, I'm just going to leapfrog that. I have no interest. But it was fantastic. I think as a player, seeing the world from that view really gave me this sense of awe and inspiration, and wanted to explore over and over and over again.
Right on. So, going into Wrath of the Lich King.
My goodness,
we
we're gonna
now have
go
a
through
sense
every single
that
one of
this
these.
game receives expansions. It is going to continue to grow and evolve for who knows how long. Tell us a little bit about what it was like finding new things to implement to the game, and realizing how new technologies would allow us to do more in WoW.
So back after we had built Classic and Burning Crusade, I think one of the things we self-reflected on the most is the world didn't change with you, that you could do these awesome things, kill dragons, unite peoples and whatnot, but the world always stayed static. And that was necessary because everybody's living in the same world, and the world can't change for you but not for them. So we wanted to build tech to be able to do that, and we built something called phasing. Which is something which, if you're not familiar, I think a lot of you, if you've played World of Warcraft, might be. But this is basically one player can do something, and then the world will change. As part of a storyline, Booty Bay might come under siege by pirates, and that player sees Booty Bay under siege by pirates. But other people who haven't completed that storyline don't. And this is a really useful technology, but it's also it's something we actually continue to work with today, and have developed better tech for in later expansions.
Yeah, we use phasing an awful lot because it's really effective for showing progression, individual player progression, as well as times when we're using a big group thing that's happening and we want you to see a specific thing. So it controls the visibility of what you can see, but it has some issues with it also.
Hey, Lethian, how are you?
Consider when we're designing, because unfortunately you might not see your friend, and so you said, hey, I'll meet you at the such and such place, and then your friend, you don't see them, and they don't see the same thing you see. So when you say, oh, I'm standing over by the big ogre, they say, what big ogre? One
No,
of the
not
downsides,
specifically,
of
no.
phasing is that it separates people. It makes it such that it may look like some place is empty when it's actually full of other people, but they're in another phase. So now we're very careful when we phase, when we choose to phase, and also we have implemented party sync. If you're not familiar with it or you haven't tried it, you want to help your friend who's maybe behind you in the story, you party sync up, and now you'll see the same things that they're seeing. So very, very useful tool, but also can be detrimental to that feeling of being in a world if you're too separated from other people.
Yeah, I'll say we phased a lot of that when it came out in Lich King, because it was a new tool and we were figuring it out. And then as we sort of progressed, realized that phasing is a story sledgehammer. It is super powerful for telling story, having the world change around you, but that doesn't come without consequences. And this has been sort of a repeated pattern, I think, as you see designers on the team excited about new technology, and they implement it in the first, sometimes a scrappy way, and then we'll iterate it over time.
Gave us the water slide in Grizzly Hills.
That's right. Yeah.
What could be better? So
I love how Randy has
the biggest
calm
phasing
HR voice
that I can think of that came along was actually done by Deathwing himself.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
A major change to the landscape. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think this is continuing this line of thought. If we want to see the world changing, the big idea for Cataclysm was, what if we changed everything? What if when Deathwing came out of the earth, it changed so much that entire quest lines changed, entire zones changed. The tops of the mountains in Badlands are sheared off, and the Barrens is split into two with a big river of lava in the middle, and so on. And along with that, the quest lines changed. If you go to a lot of those Cataclysm-affected zones, you'll see the story is Deathwing just came out of the earth. We learned a lot of lessons in doing that. One, it was a lot of work to do to rebuild all those zones, and a lot of them were done really quickly. Again, I mentioned scrappily before. We did, built those zones really quickly, but also some players weren't as happy about the changes. The changes we'd made to zones were done with good intentions of looking at classic quest lines and saying these don't really match our philosophies anymore.
Those changes.
Sometimes a quest might send you all the way to another zone, and then you come back, and then you get 15
Why not
silver
make less
and
servers so
nothing
there are
else,
no
and
empty
that's
cities?
it. So we wanted to build quests that are more in the at the time.
They've already pulled back on servers, Bebop.
Let's build these into campaigns, into storylines that have beginnings, middles, and ends, and you see that with the Cataclysm-affected zones. For players who were disappointed by that and saw that, like, well, I kind of can't go back to before. I can't play the Classic as I remember. I think this was one of those instigating moments which ended up having us make WoW Classic. So you can go back and you can play WoW Classic in the way that you remember it. And a lot of players, I'm sure many of yourselves included, do prefer to play that way, and it's great that you can.
It seems like Mists of Pandaria is also a little reflective of what you were just talking about. There's a condensation of everything. When you talk to players about their memories of Mists of Pandaria, it's very cozy, it's very tight-knit, and that feels to me like that was the intention of the design team. What do you
skipped
think?
all of Cata real life stuff?
Yeah, I would say that Mists is sort of where things started to coalesce a little bit. That they started to we started playing with
Paul's
the tools
doing
that
all
we
the
had been
talking
working
here.
with the daily quests and weeklies and phasing and learning those lessons, taking the big experiments and building them a little bit.
Silver Ice Dragon, thank you, man.
more
Appreciate
in
that.
In a considered way. That living world of Mists of Pandaria really felt like it was there. That the daily quests that you were doing weren't always.
Then
going
wipe
to the
that
same place,
disgusting
but you
grin
could
off
be
your face.
Going to the Celestial Temple in the north one day and the south the other day.
Seems like
or
they're
you could be
leading
helping
to
out
the
the
rebuilding
Shadow
of
Band
old
with
school
something,
Azeroth during Midnight's
based on your
possible.
actual, playing your class and fighting. But
Or they're
going
gonna
to
change it again.
The Anglers or the Tillers of Half Hill and like doing something which is a little bit more domestic. Maybe that's sort of the early stages of what ended up becoming housing, or at least those that style of playing WoW. I could very much see a connection from that to what we're looking at doing in Midnight.
The farm is one of the greatest things that's ever been in WoW. That's what I'm saying. The farm was simply awesome.
Yeah.
So
Apparently Randy liked
this
the farm.
takes us to one of the biggest steps that WoW ever took. In Legion, the updates to world content and endgame content, with these things, new life was breathed into this world. What was the development approach going into Legion?
So, like Paul was mentioning, I think by the time we got to Mists of Pandaria, it was feeling like we had a really well-polished version of a lot of the core elements of World of Warcraft. You had cool rare spawns popping up, you had fun dungeons and raids, you had the introduction of challenge mode to help continue to challenge that audience.
Yes.
So the team is still experimenting and doing fun stuff in that space. You have
Skip
the cozy
one.
farm, like you mentioned. We have also gone back to, as we developed future expansions, the original design documents for the reputations of Mists of Pandaria. Because
I don't
it
agree
had
with
one
that,
of the
Bebop.
coolest breakdowns, originally prior to any work being done, of how the reputation, what their vibe would be, what they would be all about. So you'd have this cool, what was now kind of an ancient Microsoft Word document with weird formatting that was like the Tillers, and they're all about these particular professions, and this is what their whole vibe is, and here's where they live. And when we went back in future expansions like Dragonflight, that was one of the things we looked back on, was that document when we were designing Renown. So if you consider MOP kind of the end of Era 1, where a lot of that core WoW stuff is feeling pretty good and pretty polished, the next step for us was look across the whole world and see what other new potential areas do we have to explore. What other experiments can we do? One of those areas was, like you mentioned, was world quests. We wanted to get out of that space of everything is on specific timers and has specific rewards, and it's always the same, because that was starting to feel like, hey, it's always feeling daily, it's always feeling weekly, it's starting to feel a little bit like a chore.
Yeah.
What if, instead, the world itself started to populate a lot of the content? And not only that,
the only
but
thing
then
it
the
did was
reputation
bring back a
and
little
the
bit of
rewards would
housing.
be slightly different on a weekly basis, and let's get out of the space of things happening every day and instead have things happen every 4 hours.
I agree,
and
Evil,
6
and I
hours,
think
and
Kata
3.5
really
days, and really kind of messed with
wasn't.
expectations in a way that
I
made the
don't think,
world
but-
really feel significantly more alive. And then you start layering all of the many systems of Legion on top of that, and how they can add a little bit of that randomness and a little bit of that spice to your day. For example, adding the emissary system, where you not only could do a whole bunch of world quests and get an awesome reward and potentially get a legendary from it as well, and that would completely change up what your week was going to be
A
like.
legendary?
But also, we came up with this concept that we were calling capacitance at the time, where you didn't have to
He
log
said
in
legendary.
and do all of your emissaries every time they were up, or all of your world quests every time they were up. They would start to build up over time, which is another way for us to make it feel like, hey, the world is changing when you're not there, so that when you log in,
I want to know
it's
when
gonna feel
gnomes get their
significantly
city
different.
in OG
And then,
race that's
of course,
been
the team throughout this time
effed
is
over
also
since launch.
experimenting with tons of
Maybe
new
they'll talk
content.
about
This
it,
was
Michael.
Our first time really taking our foray into special secret content.
I think
and having
that's a
this
pun,
extra
yeah.
layer of
I think that's
what
Warcraft
was,
speak.
Legendary.
Legendary.
We tried to make undata mineable, and that was a real back and forth with the community for quite some time.
Silver Ice, I did
how
too.
do we hide secret content when they know everything about our game? But with all the secrets of Azeroth that we included in, like the Lucid Nightmare puzzle or the Kazumoth the Hungering.
Yes. What was the first secret?
The very first secret, the very first secret we did in kind of the modern Legion era, this might have actually preceded Legion. It had this idea for, what if we just hid something off in some corner, right?
Okay.
So we added this little Murloc egg, which was in Northrend, and it's in a cave.
I remember. It's like you have to go out in the ocean.
That's some
somewhere
Roka Man.
different.
Nobody would go out there. So my thought process at the time was like, yeah, just stick this in. Like, it's cool. Like, nobody will know there's this thing out there. If you go to the pet journal, it says this exists. And that started, the forum threads that were like, does anybody know where to get this pet? This seems like a cool pet. It's a Murloc. And the community found it. And then there was this neat article about it. And then there was forum posts about it. And suddenly there's this interest in, hey, the devs are actually able to add stuff we don't know about. And then, of course, that got me thinking, like, yeah, well, neat. Like, how do I do more of this?
A couple of months ago, I was asked to summarize the WoW community on Discord. And it was so fun to go look at the different Discords. And the secret finding Discord is huge. And they're so energetic. And they're having so much, even when they're not working on a secret, they're having so much fun. Something else in Legion, which I feel
that's
like
Randy.
ties back to this
He's
personal, cozy
the
approach,
community
like
guy.
we saw in the Half Hill Farm.
I've dealt with Randy quite a
Team
bit.
somehow made a dozen class halls, and they
You
were,
got Jeremy I dodged a bullet Fiesel and Paul Cubitt.
Colors. Tell me about that.
You say somehow, and that's good production process.
See, there's Jeremy still alive,
how-
still
From
employed.
From
It's
my
crazy.
perspective, it looks like magic.
That's how you make 30+ artifact lines at the same time, too.
30+.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
that gets back to what Paul was talking about how to make the world feel like it's a living space, right? And there's a couple of different ways I think that Artifact accomplished that. One of them was we couldn't cram all the Artifact quest lines just into the Broken Isles because there was a lot of Artifact quest lines, and somebody would have had their Artifact quest line just hanging out with Murlocs up in a corner. Like, there just wasn't enough space. So the team had this idea of like, hey, let's go back to all of these older spaces in World of Warcraft and not cataclysm them all,
Yes.
but revisit some of the storylines of things like Subchapel and some of our favorite characters back then. And this is sort of a
This
new
is
way
such
for
a
the team
weird-
to think about
a weird
reusing lot
thing
of
for
those
them.
older spaces in a new way that told the next chapter of their story.
It should be reversed.
And that changed up dozens of the areas.
Should have a
of
bigger
World of Warcraft.
interview
But then, like you
screen
mentioned,
and
there's
a
also
smaller,
the idea that,
evolving
hey,
further
we're going
screen.
more in depth into what your class is and who they hang out with and who their minions are and what their whole vibe is. And
He likes the word vibe, too,
accomplished that really well,
by the way.
in a way that we hadn't ever gone into in World of Warcraft before. You had some class quests prior to this, but there really was no idea of this is your space and you're going to hang out with other mages and you're going to do mage stuff. I play a mage. So
Yeah, it's just
and
weird.
that's going to be cool and awesome. You're going to get a special set for it, and you're going to get your own minions for it and everything. Like, we really went deep into that lore of each individual class that I think
Wonder if it's a
helped
PAX
make
thing.
each class feel deeper in the overall world as well.
It made the world feel more alive too,
Yeah.
because like if you were a mage and you saw someone else was doing other priest stuff and someone else is doing other warrior stuff, it makes the world feel bigger. It makes the world feel like it's not just on rails for everybody, but you have your own adventure that you're going on through.
And
it.
you didn't get to do that stuff. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to see somebody else doing something crazy and being like, what are they doing?
Okay.
Now I want to play a warlock.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you in Deadwind Pass?
I never thought of playing a warrior until I saw how they exited their class hall. That's very, very exciting. And I got a fishing pole.
The Underlight Angler, that's right.
Yes. Who do I have to thank for that?
The professions team.
Okay, we'll say the professions team.
Yes.
But it's just a very interesting thing that it wasn't a conclusion. When the artifacts were all made and working and implemented, that we could still do something more. Have that artifact fishing pole and give players a reason to come together so much as they did in Legion. So now that we've had some
Locks
time
don't need to be
reflect on it,
necromancers. We don't need a necromancer in every game.
really
They're talking about the
turning
evolving of
for
Warcraft
World
into
of
where we're
Warcraft.
going.
Tell us about some of the big additions in Dragonflight.
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to speak about Dragonflight. I quite love it. So we were given enormous maps. So the world building team just made these.
They like
these
talking about what's
massive,
happened before.
massive maps for us. And
No,
it
we
fit really
don't.
well with their
No, we
themes,
don't need
which was
necromancers.
primarily
Every game
about
does not need
discovery
necromancer.
and exploration. We're
Or a bard.
returning to the homeland of the dragons. We need to look everywhere and find all the things. And this led us to this decision to build a lot of smaller activities that you could find in nooks and crannies. We hid things everywhere. So those could be things like you fly to the super high peak and plant a banner for the Dragon Scale expedition. Or you see some loose dirt, and so you use a shovel and
Death
dig
Knights
there,
aren't
and,
necromancers?
you got
No.
something cool.
They don't raise the dead
So
at all.
Small things like that, but bigger things too. For example, you could go hunting with the centaur of the Onaran Plains and sort of see what their culture was and learn more about how they valued their hunting dogs and their hunting hawks, right? But the one that most people talk about most of the time, of course, is making soup with the Tuskar. And I'm gonna turn that over to the chef here.
That Tuskar
and
soup
he
was
can
stupid.
explain what he did.
Well, first, can I get a yes, chef, from the audience? Yes. All right, thank you. It was
Yeah,
lucky
you liked it,
be
didn't you,
asked to
New?
work on the folks who were
You loved it.
Building the community feast event, which is what we sort of call Tuskar soup informally. The directions here was, we'd been working with the culture of the Iskara for a while, or the team who'd been building the story of the Azure Span had, and they had an idea of what the fantasy was here. They said, we want a big event where you make soup. And we had a couple early designs, but like the
back
idea
on
we got
Monday.
most excited about was this character who sat at the pot and was giving everybody different directions of, you go get salt, and you go get one kind of fish, and you get another kind of fish, and you come over here and help stir the pot. And the way we were able to implement that was scenarios. Scenarios is some tech that we have to sort of tell a shared story in the outdoor world. Usually it's sort of a long linear story or a multi-stage linear story. But again, being scrappy and using the tools that we had available, we said, what if we made 60 different scenarios though? And then the fish one was one scenario, and this fish one was a different one, and stirring the pot was a third. And then some scripts behind the scene were saying, okay, make sure we don't give two people the same one and mix it around. And it worked, and it was fun. It was a different sort of way of playing. It was a little bit hectic, and players were encouraged to have big groups, because the bigger group that you had, the better the soup was, the closer it got to getting to legendary quality. Of course, that also came with like a couple early bugs we worked out early on, but that sort of proof of concept was something we built later on into scenarios where we can make multi-step scenarios, which is one single scenario which can have different people on different steps, and that's tech that we used for later iterations of the same style of gameplay, like you see in Time Rifts or in the theater troupe that's currently going on in Isladorn right now.
Yeah, I went and got my supervisor title right away. That was really important to me that I had supervisor.
How do you feel about the PvP cross requirement for gear?
Well, also, with these giant maps, it seems
I think it should be
important to us
separated
that
for
we
sure,
do some
Michael.
stuff
It should
with
be
flying.
separated.
So we brought about the dynamic flight, then called dragon riding, now called
Dragon riding was good.
And this gave us the ability to add momentum and moment-to-moment gameplay to traversing our world, which was quite large. And so that extra speed was very useful, very helpful to players as they were exploring the nooks and crannies and trying to find the cool secrets that were hidden. There were some Things to learn there too, of course. Some players, turns out, get sick if they
We
have
don't
to
need
deal
a
with
tinker
momentum.
class.
The motion
That's what
sickness
gnomes
was
and goblins
problematic
are when
for
they use
a number of
engineering.
our players, so we looked at accessibility options. We're trying
My
really hard
goodness.
to look at accessibility and make sure that all the players can play. So our first effort was,
You want to
of
live in a
course,
wagon
you
and
could ride
steal
along with
children
a friend.
as a tinker? Is that what you
could
want?
Just be a little cute little hatchling, and you would fly along with your friend. You didn't even have to look, and that way there was none of that going on, right? Also in questing, we had quests where we needed you to maneuver in particular ways that might make you ill, and so we had alternate versions where you could say, you know what, why don't you do the flying for me, and I'm just gonna, step away for a minute or something. So we were looking at that as well. But this ability to build quests with this flight method in mind meant that we could end objectives way up high, and then you would have this amazing swoop as you went to the next objective. It meant that we knew that you wouldn't necessarily, battle things in between, so we had to make sure that when you arrived at your next destination, there was something cool to do there. You weren't essentially skipping the content.
Yeah, I do remember that,
But it also
yes.
let us make new kinds of quests. Quests where you could do the races and go on a crazy race through the sky and try to beat the timer. And we could do ones where you banged into things, and we could move it into dungeons. We could use it in raids. So it was a new opportunity for us, a new type of quest, in addition to just being really fun. And since you talked about flying before, why don't you tell me about how it felt now?
I'd love to tell you how I feel about flying. No, I think it per the panel, evolved your relationship to the world in a very unexpected way. Jumping off Valdrakken and soaring down the side of a cliff, hitting the river, and then just skimming off of it, going through the canyons, was really invigorating. But at the same time, it was very, very peaceful. I was like in the world. The wind is going by my hair, and I got to appreciate once again a different view of Azeroth. Being able to feel that way about a game, I think is really why we play and make games. Get emotional as I talk about it. No, I think it was a fantastic addition.
I want to throw in, this sort of changed the way that I play zones now as well. Before, I'm a quester. I love playing through the questing story, but now that we have those skyrunning glyphs, anytime I get to a new zone, I got to imagine I'm not the only one. The first thing I do is I got to go explore this whole place and see if I can find all these things, and then I'll go to the story afterwards. But it sort of changes your relationship with the world.
How did skywriting affect secret building?
Secret building has always been
Oh,
about the
come
best
on,
way
Master
to
Roca.
hide things
Stop being
in
a wet
plain
blanket.
sight. So it certainly made it faster for the community to get from point A to point B around the world. But many secrets are
It killed
5
flying?
or 6
It didn't.
layers deeper than just getting between point A and point B right now. That was the original design with some of those original Chronicle secrets, though, was the idea that, hey, it would be difficult for the community to find these things that are hidden in 6 spots around 20 years of game world. When you have a community that large looking for secrets, it is not difficult.
Sure, but did you ever get the sense that a secret was a little too secret?
I think if there was one that was a little bit too hard, it was probably the Jennifer secret, because the mental leap you had to take between what was shown in-game and the puzzle in the head of the designer was enough to keep them busy for 11 months.
11 months.
11 months.
I don't remember it being that long. Wow.
So less than a year.
Yeah,
They made
That's
it.
pretty good.
that's great. So I want to talk a little bit about roadmaps, because as both a player and part of a communications team, roadmaps really help me. They speak to me. From a
Bring
design
back resilience
perspective,
gear?
What
I don't know about that.
roadmaps allow us to do? This is the time frame when we're starting to be able
Oh,
to
fly across the
really
ocean? That would be
predict
cool.
for the players what's coming over the next year.
Yeah, I can actually hear the emotion in your voice as
Yes.
a community manager liking
Yes.
roadmaps.
Yes, I do.
Well, of course, we committed to a cadence, and we committed to specific things happening in those cadence, at that cadence, sorry.
Oh, look at
And,
that.
by presenting this, we gave
is
hints
this?
and tips, allowed for a lot of
Oh,
speculation.
yeah. We knew about
But
this.
What we promised was that we would deliver in a steady way, right? It was a predictable release, steady way, on PTR, when expected.
Resilience is just
and I'm very proud
versatility,
that
but
we've
only
held
for
to that.
PvP.
We've
Yeah,
hit it
versatility needs to
every
stay in
time.
PvP,
So
I
super
think.
proud of us for that. For the story, it's been wonderful. I too am a fan because it allows us to plot out and figure out what's going to happen. So for something like the World Soul Saga, where we have a lot of story to tell over a lengthy period of time, we can build out. We actually have a Miro. Which
I
is
wouldn't
a
mind
tool we
artifact
use,
weapons
to
forever.
basically
Just upgrade weaponry
map
with
out everything and
X-Packs.
move things around.
Could.
It's like, who's going to die next?
Multi-strike
And this
was
is
nice.
great, right?
So
I'm
was
gonna have a
armor
good time with this.
penetration.
No, we don't do the dying. Well, we do the dying a little, but yeah. So we can move things around, figure out like what we want to have happen where and why, and how that all ties into the story. It gives us great opportunity to pace things and ramp things up. We get to make prologues for things and epilogues for other things. The Kirin Tor epilogue, for example, we were really looking forward to getting in there. So this steady cadence helps us as well because it helps us think through very carefully where we want to place things. And yeah, I like it too.
Good. Anything else on that?
Yeah, we're good.
Probably the biggest turning point in the history of WoW was when Chris Metzen at BlizzCon 2023 announced the World Soul Saga. Take me back to the concepting and the iteration. that led up
Bebop,
to that.
probably. It's not something I'll
Yeah, I
play,
think
though.
Chris has mentioned it before, but essentially, we were working on ideas for the expansion, the expansion that was coming after Dragonflight,
And it's going to depend.
we
It's going
had,
to depend on who can afford
a
it.
big story in mind, and his thinking was, it's just too big. It's never going to fit in one expansion. Let's really bring back all the people they expect to see. It's the 20th anniversary. We got to knock it out of the park. Let's do a trilogy. And we all went, a trilogy? Huh. All right. Let's see what that looks like. And like I said, we pulled out our sharing tool and started putting stickies all over and went, oh yeah, this could work. This will be good. Yeah, we can bring back all sorts of
Yeah, it
people.
will be very interesting to see what they come up with
spoilers-ish.
after. Yeah.
And we can really build this up into something to celebrate. This bringing the final sort of like what happens with all of these people's threads and what's going on, and just really, doing the 20 years justice. So it was initially
Take my
a little
money
bit
now for
like,
early
"Ooh,
access."
That sounds like a lot. But then,
Yeah.
I mean, we're working on all three of them simultaneously. We have teams working on all of them, and I just played through second passes of the campaign for Midnight, so we're doing great, which is cool. So a ways to go yet, I'm afraid, but
Still a long way to go. Yeah, one of the cool things about working in a
Expansion
trilogy
reveal
like this, though, is
is
typically
after
we've told encapsulated
11.2.
stories
It's in
within
between
the scope
summer and
of
fall.
An expansion, which is
So.
a number 0.0, number 0.1, number 0.2, and it sort of has a beginning, middle, and end. This has a lot more. There's a lot more places where you can put story, and it means we get to go to a lot more interesting places. We get to go to unexpected places. The very first diversion off of the Isle of Dorn and it's Kaz Algar, et cetera, was to
It
go
is
to
a Tumen's
Undermine,
horse name, yeah.
And it's exciting to think about where we're going to go next as the story's kind of dealing around the void and the world soul and everything continues to unfold.
And during this development of the World Soul Saga, the team has also been producing entirely new ways to get into the living world. What does WoW Remix Mists of Pandaria mean for you?
Well, I mean, to the point that Maria was making about how the roadmap and having this consistent content cadence gives us great opportunities for adding a ton of new story content. Hey, it also gives us great opportunities for adding a ton of new interesting experiments, which we did all throughout Dragonflight.
Most leveled
Everything
classes
from
by
the
role.
revamped Secrets
Blood
of Azeroth
DKs
to
for
the
tanks, Holy
follower
Priests for
dungeons.
healers,
Those were
BM
all
Hunters
little
for ranged
experiments that we were
DPS,
doing.
and
at the end of
Paladins
Dragonflight,
for
we knew we wanted to
melee
take a
DPS.
couple
That's
of
fucking
big
crazy.
swings on the experimental side of things. One of them was experimenting with reusing WoW content. And this was really, like, MOP Remix was really the combination of two different separate ideas that came together like a delicious cookie. One of them was, hey, can we expand upon time walking? At the time, we were doing things like turbulent timeways for the first time and finding that to be something that people were really enjoying. And we've continued updating turbulent timeways ever since then. But then we were asking ourselves, what is the most effective way to relive, say, a whole zone? Should we do zone walking? Or a whole expansion if you went even bigger than that? Meanwhile, a bunch of our team members were playing our sister game, Diablo 3, and we're doing a bunch of the Diablo 3 seasonal content, and we're saying, hey, can we get something like this Diablo 3 Seasons in WoW? Something where I feel like I'm going through similar content, but with wildly different gameplay and a wildly different leveling scheme, and I'm really enjoying leveling up my character in this new season. So as both of those ideas continue being iterated on in big whiteboards, as you mentioned, eventually they just kind of merged together into this great thing that ended up being MOP Remix. Let's go back to Mists of Pandaria, and we actually went and looked at a bunch of data, and we saw that a bunch of people hadn't even done Pandaria that were currently playing WoW, so it was also a great opportunity just to get people back to a space that they had, not even back to a space, to get people for the first time to a space that they hadn't.
We don't need any more dwarves. This isn't Disney. I don't disagree.
But then also, could we reuse this content in a way that felt different while I was leveling through it? So, and that was the impetus behind all the different itemization, the infinite dragonflight, all the different layers on the content, the new ways to acquire the loot that you got from MOP Remix. You can see some of the interesting factoids up here. Some of our favorite leveling classes there were the Death Knight and Priest, and of course Hunter and Paladin, because everybody likes playing Hunter and Paladin. A bunch of people made it all the way to the very end and managed to kill a mythic.
I did not see the turbo boost thing, no.
Felt that MOP Remix was a really great experiment. It was a great opportunity to reuse the older game in WoW, but also give people a chance to do it fresh. And I feel like one of the key parts about freshening up a piece of content like this that we learned was that it's really the most fun when everybody gets to experience it together. And that's what a remix does. It's not just turning on everything all at the same time and saying, hey, go have fun. It's, hey, we're going to go through this together again. So it feels like it's a new expansion. And it feels like you're
It doesn't feel like a new expansion.
With your friends again, and you're all learning about what the most overpowered item combinations are and finding these new secrets in the game about where did they put the special drops and stuff like that. It's a great learning experience for us, but also we got a huge amount of positive feedback from the community that they would love to see another remix. At
nobody's saying that. I'm aware.
Are we ready to talk publicly about some more remix?
This was going to be a fun panel regardless, but I think it
2009
will be an even more
is when I
fun
started.
Panel if we get to release a couple of juicy tidbits of information, maybe.
Go ahead.
They're gonna say Legion remix. Here it comes. Get ready.
So, as many of you have surmised, perhaps because we gave out a couple of hints or very large hints.
Yeah, Raph. Yes.
We are going to do another remix. And the next remix we are going to is, of course, the fan favorite expansion, Legion.
Okay. Yeah. Yay.
Now, like we mentioned earlier, Legion has a lot of content. It has way more content than Mists of Pandaria, and it has a huge amount of different systems. So the team is currently hard at work delving deep into how we are going to integrate all of these systems.
You're a prophet, Harry, and a thumping good one too.
Are we going to remix?
And the crowd goes mild. I don't, Misfit. I don't think it's
which of all of the different drops that came from all over the place in Legion are going to be accessible.
A bunch of people
currency.
there.
Team is delving into those right now, and we will have
popular,
a significantly larger info dump later that includes a lot of the details about the systems, but we don't want to leave you without at least a couple of interesting, juicy tidbits about the stuff that we're exploring or excited about.
Did you fix the legendary system?
First, Legion is where we first introduced the Mythic Keystone system. And this gives us a great opportunity to expand upon the audiences that we hit with MOP Remix by giving the Mythic
It's an illusion. What are you hiding?
something to
Yes.
do in a remix space. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could do Mythic Keystones with the wild item scaling of Remix and see how high you can go? We think that would be cool.
Yes.
And we're really excited about folks getting a chance to do that and just figuring out how to completely break that game. We completely expect you're going to do that, and we hope you have a ton of fun.
There'll be a lot of raging in those.
But some of us in dad mode prefer the outdoor world. So one of the other things we're actually really excited about that we can do in a closed system, like a remix, is try wild experiments with the outdoor world. So we're excited to let you all know we are taking yet another page from our friends over there on Diablo, and we're going to try adding a increased difficulty world tier in Legion Remix. It's currently called the Shattered Timeline. It's a timeline where everything went worse and everybody is significantly more difficult. So if you would like to challenge yourself while you are leveling up or at max level and doing Legion World Quests, head over to the Shattered Timeline and let us know what you think.
Right on.
Yeah, the Diablo pronunciation. Yeah, I'm laughing now. They have zero ideas.
Remix isn't the only experimental game mode that we've seen in recent years. There was also something called Plunder Storm. What was that?
So they're bringing back more plunder
at
stuff?
At the very end of Dragonflight, we wanted to take some really big experimental swings, and what could be a larger experiment than not only a game mode in World of Warcraft that didn't use your World of Warcraft character and used a completely new action combat-like system, and you were a pirate, and you entered it through a whole separate screen. It had all of its own rewards, and also, it was a battle royale. I don't think anybody was expecting the World of Warcraft team to come out with a battle royale at the end of Dragonflight. And despite the fact that it maybe did not have the largest Venn diagram overlap with what surveys have told us our players largely play outside of World of Warcraft, we saw a huge number of players jump in to play Plunder Storm. You can see some of the stats up here. The highest amount of plunder that was earned by a single player was 3.4 million. At least 4 people died to campfires. We have a lot of interesting statistics from Plunder Storm. And despite the fact that it was wildly different than WoW and completely outside the norm of World of Warcraft content, we saw tons and tons and tons of players jump in and play it, and we would consider it a huge success. And what that tells us is that there's a desire from the player base to do cool game modes in WoW, and that maybe we should start to think of another one.
Jeremy,
I hope we'll get to go to hell again. That'll be so much fun.
Maybe we can't get details right now, but can we confirm that we are working on the next fantastic experience?
We can, in fact, confirm that we are working on yet another game mode for World of Warcraft. But we are going to provide even less details because we would like that to be a reveal that includes probably a lot of cool videos that get across everything we're trying to do here. But to give you a couple of juicy tidbits on this one, it has a vibe that is a little bit on the scary story side of things, and it is not a battle royale.
Okay.
Zombies!
So
zombies?
we have 2 clues. Scary, not battle royale. Thank you. That's
Cares and zombies.
And we would love to hear what you think.
Thank you.
Hearthstone minigame in WoW. I can see that too.
WoW community, there has never been anything that was more beloved and more requested.
Yeah, it's a wave survival. Yeah.
Housing feels like the culmination of a question this community has been asking since the beginning of WoW. Tell me, Jesse, how did the
Dark
team
Souls
get started
WoW
on housing?
So housing has been worked on WoW for, years and years and years and years. You can find old remnants of data mined houses and, really crufty stuff going way, way back.
Cruft.
Lots of cruft.
Great word.
But sort of the more modern, attempt at housing started.
Hey, Silu, we're just doing this panel here.
And a team had been prototyping and sort of pitching and building towards it. And they had a bunch of really compelling prototypes and things that we were iterating on. I joined the team, started working on housing, started working on even more prototypes for housing because we were sort of very keen on dialing in a couple things. And so now we're here. We have a pretty big team.
I love the housing, but as a raider at Mythic Plus, nothing wrong with that, Reckless.
Excited about it.
Like what you like, man.
Apparently, folks are as well.
Would be crazy to do an AR board-based game with WoW. Yeah.
In the evolving of Azeroth, y'all have been playing for 20 years.
Reckless, they're going to add it to Dungeon and
Raid Loot.
Been
visiting Azeroth.
You're going to play Diablo.
We log off, and then we're gone. Now you have a home. you have your own little slice of Azeroth that you can make your own. You can make a spooky house. You can make a scary house. You can make a cozy house. You can invite your friends over. You can have birthday parties. You can do all of these role-playing things that the community's been clamoring for in a space that's yours. But it's not just your space. You're in a larger context of a neighborhood. So it's me and you and you and you and you and you and you. And there are
I don't know if it's going to be overly expensive. You're going to have to, if you want something specifically special, it's going to be difficult to get, and I think that's okay.
Your progression, on a
people
tier
love
right
to
now
RP,
is
man.
6 months, something like that. Your progression in housing is forever if you want it to be. So it's super exciting when you think about the world, how we interact with it now, and how we will interact with it in the near future.
Housing would be good if they added
having a
portal
persistent
achievements, so you don't have to
that
go to the
players
capital.
Can call their home. How does it affect the way we build content?
They were hateful to you.
Of course it does, absolutely. One of the most exciting things in a designer sort of way, as opposed to a player sort of way.
Locking it behind
maybe not,
professions will be expensive. It will.
is the potential to have quests give you rewards of things you can do for your house, things you can decorate your house with, things that are mementos of some achievement that you managed to pull off, some awesome thing you did. We talk a little bit about that Onyxia head. And
Hearthstone
where
for your
we're gonna
house would
put
be
it,
cool.
Exactly. It also gives us an opportunity to look at what might happen if we brought content
Profession
to you.
tables. That would be awesome.
So
ESO has those.
We are thinking a lot about opportunities here. Right now, the giddy designers, though, are very excited about decor because they have all sorts of ideas of cool things that could go into your house and be an awesome reward.
You should be able to visit
and
houses,
get you guys
yeah.
out there exploring the world.
A big-ass fly.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but one of the first conversations we had, this was in the housing prototype V19 or something, we were talking about how to build content, and you gave me the example that I used to pitch repeatedly through all the exec meetings, which was, so right now if you go in WoW and you find a village and there's a merchant and he's like, oh no, my cattle have run off or something like that. You save their cattle, you come back and you say, goodbye, merchant. In housing, we now have the opportunity for that merchant to come by your house, and you say thank you for your things, and he goes on his way, and he comes back every day or every week, and then at some point he stops coming by. And you're like, huh, I wonder what happened to the merchant.
Death.
Yeah.
He's on the death list.
Yeah, he's on the whiteboard.
She killed Blanchie.
I know, right?
You know that.
The merchant was just down the street, and his cattle.
Yeah, Drez, I did
okay.
too.
Okay.
The merchant's not dead. He's just
Okay.
down the street. And you say, oh, hey, merchant, I can help you now. And you bring back his cattle or whatever, and he starts his trek again. And that feels so much more alive. It feels so much more personal than just like, oh, later, POI, I'm glad we've had that conversation.
I think they're
And yeah,
account bound,
to your
Shiny
point with
Wizard.
designers, we had to come up a brand new process for how other designers request decor. Because they've all been clamoring, hey, I'm doing a quest in this place. Can I get a whatever prop? And it's been a deluge, and so we're like, okay, we need a process for this now because there's a lot. And so yeah, we've been reinventing a lot of wheels right now for better.
Something else there's been a lot of is a desire to talk to the community as we're building out housing. And I just want to compliment you personally, you and the team. The housing team has been very open about wanting to share with the community what we're doing and what we might be able to do so that we can make sure that
Oh, no,
community
you
is
can
heard
change it
and that
per
they're,
tune.
receiving, so to speak, what they
I think you have a
what
choice.
they want out of housing. Tell me a little, just anything you can tell me.
No,
2-minute
it's not
version.
just showing off your
Midnight,
achievements.
The Last Titan, Beyond. Tell me something about what's coming for housing.
A lot of things are coming for housing.
Sure.
The first release that we have is just that. It's the first release for housing.
Yes.
We are going to be building on
Oh,
housing
Guild Wars 2 has
for
guild
the
housing?
foreseeable future. We have a very, very bulky roadmap full of stuff. You know, the community response to it has been amazing in that, like, we'll make a post, and then we'll see this big discussion come up, and we'll be, like, plucking, like, we should think about adding that. That seems like a good idea. Put it on the roadmap. the team has, channels devoted to brainstorming and coming up with new stuff. There has been no shortage of amazing ideas that are all just, fighting each other to get on. So yeah, got a lot coming. You'll hear more over the next couple of weeks. I think we'll be talking about some other things that people want to hear about very soon too.
Regarding housing, there's a development.
You're starting an HOA.
I want to share with y'all, which is right now when you go to an innkeeper, you can bind your Hearthstone to there, and then that makes it so that you can return there whenever you want. Right now, if you go to an innkeeper in the game right now, any innkeeper in the world, it will say, "Make this in my home." And we had to change that in Midnight because that's not true anymore. Because you'll have a home. Now it just says, "Bind my Hearthstone to this inn." I think that's kind of special.
It's lovely.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. That's
Yeah,
nice.
ESO housing was pretty early, yeah.
And I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and everyone watching online. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed your insights.
Thank you.
From the entire World of Warcraft development team, we cannot wait to see you in Azeroth and welcome you home.
That's it. That's
Thanks,
it.
everybody.
That's all it was. Crazy, huh?
Hi.
Here it is. This is what I'm talking about.
For our journey ahead, I will always be by your side.
This is promoting domestic violence, this game right here.
You're mine, and I won't let you go.
Watch. Look. Domestic violence. It's okay. I'm anime. I do it with a smile.
Be together, no matter what.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, play now. No thanks, man.
Whether it's
All
sunglasses
right.
outside, blue light glasses inside, or night
We're
driving
done with
lenses
that.
in the dark.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hard pass. Yeah, exactly, Evil. Yeah. But we're going to promote that. We're going to promote it. It's okay. I have cat ears. Yeah. I'm going to put a knife in you. All right. Let me see here. Let's do that. We're going to play ads, and I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be back into Warcraft. Hang tight. Let's take that break.
Off my Packers cup. Where's my Packers cup? That's some bullshit right there. That's some fucking next level magic.
4, 3,
Fuck's my Packers
2,
cup.
1.
Oh shit! God damn it, Val. Fuck! I don't like that.
Oh.
I'm fucking. There we go. Get out of there. Come on, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Get out. Get out, get out, get out, get out of the corner. Get out of the fucking corner. Get out of the fucking corner. My God, please get out of the fucking corner. I'm trying to get out. I can't get out of the fucking corner. I want out of the corner. I can't get out of the corner. Like he's got me stuck. Lord Jesus, help me, please. Get me out of the corner. What are you doing? I'm out of potions. Get me out of the fucking corner. I can't get out of the corner.
Oh, that's probably a good idea. There you go. Yeah, she's helping. Yeah, she's doing it to help me. I don't even know where I'm going. I don't even know where I'm going. Oh my God.
This is fine. Do we have cocktail sauce?
I like cock. Sparty says, how does a duck fart?
Wish his ass quack. My chat. Oh, it is. Look at that. Let's do that. That's better. Oh, for Jesus Christ. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, God. Oh, I know. I know. What the hell? I had a 480 helm last night. Why is it a 435? What do you mean roll back? I don't think so. No. Oh wait, this is my death knight. Carry on. Oh man, talk about an epic freakout moment. Oh my God. It usually doesn't matter to me either. Are you serious right now? Oh, sweet Jesus! What the hell was that? I don't want to look behind me. There's nothing there. Oh, come on! Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh,
Sal's not here anymore, Xavier. He came in, he said hi, he left.
There's the tube top. You ready for that?
Hello, Maddie, how are you?
Never looked so good. Look at that. Yes! Oh, yeah. Really, right now?
Skluggan 1177 cheered. Little do you know this voice is from the gnome sex slave. He is below the desk.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Let's adjust now. We're going to adjust a little bit more for the YouTube. There we go. Oh, yeah. Here we go. What's up, Beastified? Val is not here. He is not here. All right. Oh, let's turn this down, because that's going to be loud. Here we go. Oh, I need to turn it up. So, I apologize. I made some content last night that I should have probably streamed, but I didn't know I was raiding last night. So, I stopped stream because I wasn't on the... I was on the bench. I'm like, okay. And then I got called in to raid last night. So, happens. What new toy? I mean, it's not a big deal. What's this new? What's new? What is colors? Item quality? This is new? When did this sneak in? I'm fine with that. Oh, let's do this too. I've seen your YouTube shorts and you make me want to return to retail. I'm looking forward to seeing someone play in a chilled environment and how I could play. It's your money, man. You missed me yet? I didn't know you were gone. So I'm signing up for 14 plus keys and they're getting declined because I haven't done them yet. Yeah. Yep. Well, when you take time off from Warcraft, you pay the price with those stuff. What do you think about the one button rotation? I think it'll be just fine. I think it's a good addition to the game. I think that the Warcraft community, the gatekeepers and those who only want to play with the best of the best of the best of the game are upset about it. And unfortunately, they are the minority by far. They're just the loudest right now. I really don't see a problem. I just don't. Now, it's not going to be me, but oh, that's right. I have to go do Chromie time. I forgot about that. Isn't she over here? Anyways. She is. She's over there. I don't see a problem with the one button. All they actually said is for accessibility. Yeah, it's not for any other nefarious reason to make the players that are better than most other players play with everyone else. It has nothing to do with that.
Who would have thought someone named
Oh.
Deathwing would bring about so much destruction?
So, yeah, I'm aware of what it does. Golly, man. I haven't cut one of your streams in a while. Name's ruined. What's up, man? Everything's fine. Thanks for the prime sub, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That name sounds like royalty. Are you royalty?
Should I be worried about the albino nose hairs? No, man. Nobody can see him. Get some white eyebrows. I'm sure it's fine. Oh, you're right there. You're fine. I'm going to do my own stuff, Chromie, all right? Jesus. Now I got to go back up there. All right. You're currently playing Diablo? Well, I mean, look, man, maybe he's into his cups or something. Maybe he's in his cups. Having a blast with the new season and the Berserk collab on Diablo 4?
What do you need?
From what I hear, you are one of the few.
Go.
Just saying. So it's not, they haven't, Diablo 4 hasn't captured or recaptured the player base yet. So I don't know what to say about that. Just hasn't been a thing. A lot of people playing Dune Awakening because it's a free beta weekend. But I'm not interested in that at all. What's your choice of time zone while I'm leveling? I like Chromie time, like for the dungeons and stuff. If I'm leveling an Alliance player, it's Westfall, Duskwood, that kind of stuff. If I'm leveling Horde, it's the Barons and let me see here. I should probably go over here. Do Tears Fall Glades and Silver Pine Forest and stuff. I should probably do those. Haven't done those in a long time. Sometimes, not very often. I don't go through BFA at all. I thought the questing at BFA was okay. The Wrath questing I've done so many times, I just don't want to do it anymore. That makes sense? You have no idea how many alts I made in Wrath, and I was completely into Warcraft, man. There was no other game in the world ever. So level right now. That takes me to Camp Narachi. I don't want to do that. Yeah, social contract comes up once in a while. Every once in a while, just to remind you that it's there, but they're not going to hold you to it. That's kind of where it's at right now. So. Come on, man. So. Yep, it happens. That is definitely a thing. No, I don't think so. I'm not doing those other crappy, shitty dungeons. Not happening. The people don't know them. It's not woke. There's nothing woke about the social contract. It's just a social contract that says, hey, don't be a jackass. All right. Oh, yeah. Thanks for that follow. AlleyCat96.
He's now following.
Welcome in. Glad you're here.
Well, thank you very much. Can I be in charge for a while?
Hang on. I got something for New. New, are you still around? Let me see if it's here. No, that's not it. Is it here? No. Maybe I took it out. What's this? That's not it. See if I can see it here.
Is now following.
Oh, thanks for those follows there, Guy Blue and Drez.
Is now following.
95, hello. Welcome in. All right, I don't care about that. Let's go up here. I want to go over here, I believe. Is it the far one though? I always forget. Is it this one? I think it's the far one. No, it's gotta be this one. Guy Blue, hello. You posted a link in Discord. Excellent. Favorite classic raid encounter? I don't really have one.
King's honor, friend.
Can I not change this?
Safe travels.
Really?
Light be with you.
I do wish to see what it was prior to the last war. Can I not do that?
Farewell.
That's weird. Guess I can't do that. Oh. It's not there. Did I take it out? Maybe I took it out. Ah. The wife is making barbecued hamburgers again tonight. I can't wait. Guy Blue, thank you for that prime sub, man. I appreciate that. Let's give you this one.
You owe me for one jelly donut!
Are there quests in here or no? There should be quests in here. Yeah, what is this?
What do you require? Trust no one.
Just all the trainers are here and there's no, what? Yeah, I can't wait. You will not laugh. You will not cry. I will teach you by the numbers. You will learn. I will teach you. Yeah. All that stuff. Uh-oh. What do we got here? Ah, YouTube. Here we go. This is not working out. You love watching your content? Awesome, man. Ooh, I know this one. Earth Song Falls. Looking at the YouTube shorts, awesome, man. Oh, wow.